Hello and welcome to episode 193 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is July 17th, 2023. This episode will have will appear later than usual because I did the recording once before this morning, but then only this evening I found out there was no audio on the recording, so I'm doing the whole thing again. So let's see if it works better after having practiced it once. Okay, as usual, I'll start with what I'm wearing, and today I'm only wearing one thing instead of the usual two, but I thought I'll put on the little gnome earrings that were knit after the pattern or from the pattern No Fun Like Gnome Fun by Sarah Shearer. This is her tiniest gnome pattern so far, who knows. Yeah, and you can wear them as earrings and I think they're really cute. But they don't keep me warmer than I have to be, and this being really warm. And because this rainbow vest or whatever you call it is so colorful, I find it really difficult to combine something with it. So I decided to just wear this for today. I crocheted this many years ago out of a pure cotton. It was called Millefilly and was sold by Wolle Rödel, where I used to work. But it's basically the same yarn as the Catania. And I think there are lots of other pure cotton yarns that you could use. I especially love the little motif in the middle where you use all the colors, and then once that's done you start crocheting around and then you use one color after the other until you have a complete rainbow to wear. I really like that. Yeah, so that's all I'm wearing today. Then on to finished objects. I have 2 finished objects today and 2 new cast-ons, so that's quite good. Yeah, and my first finished object is my huge alpaca lace yarn granny square, and I used every color that Hansa Farm are selling in the lace yarn of their alpaca lace yarn. That's what I'm trying to say, and I'm really happy with the way it looks and with the size. It's almost as wide as my arms go, so it's probably about 1.5 meters, and I finished putting all the beads into this last round of crochet. I think the week before I only managed to do one side, but last week I was so eager to finally get it finished that I just kept crocheting on it and kept working on it. Yeah, so it's like a little blanket, and I can wrap myself into the blanket, or I can, what I meant to do, or my original plan was to fold it in half and then have a huge triangular shawl that I can wrap up in. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I'm very happy to have it finally done. I meant to look up when I started crocheting this project, and I forgot, and I not only forgot this morning, but I haven't even looked it up ever since. But anyway, if you want to know, you can check my Ravelry page. It will tell you when I started and when I finished, and it should tell you that I used 300 grams, a little more than 300 grams of yarn. And yeah, so that's my huge granny square done. And the other finished object for today are the colorful black dragon socks. So this is a special colorway by Opal with what they call black dragon, or the series that have these black yarn spun into the colorful yarn is called black dragon. And I have this special colorway that they send out with the subscription if you had that, and if you ordered this colorway. And the black and white is also spun like the Black Dragon series, but with a white sort of yarn. It's not a colorful yarn then. Yeah, it's just the black and white. And I thought, I saw somebody combine those two yarns and I stole their idea because I really liked it. So at first I wanted to knit the socks for myself, but then decided that my cousin or her eldest daughter would probably enjoy them a lot, and they have bigger feet than I do, so I knit them bigger and I will give them to them and they can decide who gets to wear them, or maybe they can take turns wearing them. I don't mind as long as they enjoy the socks. Yeah, so these are my finished objects, then on to works in progress, and I will just keep talking about socks. The oldest sock on my needle are the 3 times a cable sock. That was the Sock Madness pattern this year for the 6th round. I wasn't part of the competition in round 6. Round 5 was as far as I got, and then I couldn't finish the round 5 socks in time or fast enough. So with the round 6 socks, I could take my time, and I'm now knitting on the 2nd sock. And I started the heel increases last week. So there's this cable pattern that sort of splits in half, and then I increase stitches and I start a new pattern, and the pattern back here is the same as on the front, only with the colors reversed. So here I have the colorful yarn in the background, and the sort of the stripes going down are dark, and then on the back of the heel it'll be the other way around. I'll have the dark background and the colorful yarn as the main pattern, and then left and right there's the 2 color pattern that sort of looks like a cable. And yeah, so these are the 3 patterns on the sock, and with the increases for the heel there are 3 different charts to look at. So it takes quite a bit of concentration, and that's why I didn't knit that much last week. I was just too busy doing other things. Maybe I'll get more done this week, we'll see. So that's the oldest sock. Then there's one more sock that you already know, and that's the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West. The pattern is called Contrast Blast Socks, and last week I showed you the first clue, and now I have finished the 2nd clue on one of the socks, but not on the other. I still have 2 more days, and then the 3rd clue will come on Thursday. So if you don't want to see it, no, I'm not showing them yet. So my main color is this. This is another Opal yarn. It was part of the subscription box, but it's now appeared in the Rainforest series. So if you are interested in that colorway, you should be able to get it somewhere. It's the Rainforest series that I introduced last week. So it's really new. You should still be able to get it somewhere. And I'm using both ends of the ball of yarn to knit both the socks. And I'm using the black Alpaka sock yarn by Hansa Farm. It's the contrast color, and I didn't want to use that from both ends because I was worried I might get a big jumble and a big mess. So I cut off the black yarn from the first sock after I finished the first clue, so I could do the 2nd sock. And now when the 2nd clue came out, I decided to continue knitting on the 2nd sock because that had the contrast color hanging on it. And that's why I've now finished the 2nd clue on the 2nd sock, not on the first sock. So now I'm going to show the socks. So this was clue 1 with the ribbing, bit of a cable pattern, and then this 2 color pattern. And then this was the first bit of the 2nd clue. And the pattern calls for 8 contrast color stripes, but this would have been too long for my leg. I'm a fairly short person, and if I knit really high socks, they have to be wider on top because my legs are not sort of straight up, but they do get a bit wider at some point. So I didn't want them too long, so I decided to only do 4 stripes of contrast color, and then we got to knit the heel flap in this really interesting pattern. And again, I made it a bit shorter. It was supposed to have, I think, 10 contrasts, color stripes, and I only did 8. And then I did the heel turn, which is done in the main color. And I think it looks really nice. It looks a bit crazy, but it's sort of what you'd expect from a Stephen West pattern. And then I turn to the first sock, which is the right sock. In the pattern, they're called right sock and left sock. And if you're not that experienced, you're free to just knit two right socks. So I'm on the third contrast stripe, and this is what they look like next to each other. So you can see that these go into different directions and the pattern runs in a different direction. This pattern is actually the same from the way it looks. It's not the same from how you start knitting, because you want the stripes to sort of continue on from the other pattern. Okay, I stopped showing the contrast blast socks in case you were looking somewhere else. Yeah, so these are the socks that you already know. And then now onto my two new cast-ons. They're both socks, so I'm gonna sock knitting something at the moment. So the next pair of sock are not really a surprise for people who've watched my videos for longer. I've started the next pair of film reel socks. So I've already knit 5 pairs of those. They all went to my sister's family, and these socks are the second pair for my younger nephew. He was the first to get a pair of film reel socks, and when I knit his first pair for his birthday last year, the series Cats and Dogs that I used for all the others didn't exist yet. So now he gets his sock with this color out of the Cats and Dogs series. I really like the colors in this series because they weren't quite as colorful, or they don't have as many different colors in each ball of yarn as most other Opal yarns. So I quite like that, and I thought that my sister's family would enjoy those socks with just mainly one color going from light to dark and back. So yeah, as my little nephew is now the only one who doesn't have film reel socks with one of the Cats and Dogs colors, that's what he's getting for his birthday next month. And I am trying to get them finished before his birthday, so I will try and knit on them as often, as quickly as possible. So that was the first new cast on. And then the other new cast on, also a pair of socks, had been planned for quite some time, and I just talked about the Opal subscription yarn, and this is what the ball band looks like at the moment. They do change it every now and then, so it just says Abo, which is short for the German word of subscription, and it doesn't show you a picture of what the sock is going to look like. So with normal Opal colors, you always have a little picture with what the sock is going to look like, but with the subscription yarn you don't. It's always a surprise. So it's a surprise which colors you will get, and it's a surprise what the color will look like knit up. And one color of each box is chosen for the pattern battle, and everybody who wants to take part in that has to use the same color of yarn, but they have to use a different pattern than everybody else. So I usually try not to knit socks. I do knit socks every now and then for the pattern battle, but I try to knit like things like baby things or hats, or I think last time I did mittens, or was it the time before? I don't know. But I try to do different things. But when I looked at the color, I decided I would like to knit these socks or stockings. They are from the book Blue Stockings by Kate Davies. I've already knit two of the patterns in the book, and I thought if I have the green as the main color, and then I can knit red flowers and use the dark green as the second contrast color, and I might knit them the second color work pattern sort of down here, but then still knit them as knee-high socks. That's sort of what I'm planning to do at the moment. And for the contrast color, I decided to use another color from the Cats and Dogs series. So that's what I meant with the colors being, there not being so many different colors, but it's just light red and dark red. And I thought that should look nice together with these red flowers on the greenish background, and then this dark green is going to be the second contrast color, which is only used for a few rounds. Yeah, so that's the pattern battle sock that I'm planning to do. The pattern is called Sarah Scott. So each pattern in the book is called after a famous woman from the 17th or 18th century. I really should read the book. Maybe I can tell you next week. Yeah, but I haven't done a lot yet. I've only knit a toe so far. All the socks in the book are knit toe up. Yeah, and that's what I've done. I need to add a few more rounds of just stockinette stitch, and then I can start the first color work band, and then, yep, keep knitting. So that's a pattern battle. It officially started sometime in June, I think, because I think the parcel arrived end of May, and then it always takes a bit of time to select the color, and then to announce the pattern that you want to knit. And I think the official cast on was sometime in June, and I just told myself not to start until I'd finished the last pattern battle. So that's why I'm running late in starting, but it doesn't really matter. You don't have to finish the socks within the 3 months that the knit along runs for officially. Yeah, so that's all the socks that I have on the needle at the moment. Then on to the garments that I'm knitting. Yeah, because I realized I'm knitting 4 pairs of socks and 4 garments at the moment, and nothing in between. No gnomes and no dishcloths, so I probably will have to start something small soon. We'll see. Okay, so the first garment I'm showing you is the little girl's, not little, she's a rather tall girl, but it's the girl's dress. The pattern is the Bilberry pattern by Nora Gorn, and I finished the yoke, I finished the ribbings here. I should start weaving in some ends so I don't have to do that at the end. And right now all I have to do is knit a lot of stitches in stockinette stitch, and then do some increases every 10th round. I still using this funny row counter by moving it one of the rings forward every time I get to the beginning of round, and then after 10 rounds I do some increases where all the other stitch markers are, so that the dress does get a bit wider. And at first I wanted to do another pattern, lace pattern or something at the lower edge of the dress, but right now I'm thinking that because the color is not a solid color, I might just keep it simple and do a bit of ribbing on the lower edge of the dress and leave it at that. But I don't know yet. I still have several balls of yarn that I can knit into the dress, and if it gets too boring, I might add some pattern. And if I can keep myself concentrated on other things, then maybe I'll just keep knitting down until I get to the ribbing. So that's the dress. Then I brought the Cashmere Pullover that I didn't show last week, and it's from the book Something with Circular Yokes. I do link the books that I mentioned underneath the video if you are interested. Something with beautiful yokes, I don't remember. But anyway, it's the first garment I'm knitting out of a pure cashmere yarn. It's also by Hansa Farm. And after I started knitting, I realized at some point that it was getting a bit too big, but I didn't want to rip back, so I just continued knitting, and then knit quite a few decreases after the yoke so the front and back wouldn't be too wide. And yeah, I still wasn't 100% happy, so I asked my sister if she wanted to have the pullover, and she said yes. So now I finished the first sleeve according to her arm, not to mine, and I finished the front and back according to how long she wants the pullover to be. And I'm now knitting on the ribbing of the second sleeve, so I'm almost done. I'm hoping to get this knit up really quickly now so she can try it on again, and if everything fits so far, I'm going to weave in all the ends except for the 3 down here. I'll keep these hanging. I don't usually do that, but because I'm so unsure with the size of this, I'm going to wash it. I'm not going to block it because I want it to be rather smaller than bigger, but I will lay it down flat, and I hope that this sort of rippling that's going on up here to maybe get that flat somehow. And then once it's dry, I'll have my sister try it on again, and if she's still happy with the length and everything, then I'm going to weave in the other ends, and then the pullover will be completely done. Looking forward to that. And then I will have to write down all the numbers of what I did so I can start my own pullover then. Yeah, so that's that. And then the next pullover is my Llama Pullover. It's the pattern Wiener Hop by Nicola Susan. It's one of her maximum freedom patterns where you, instead of knitting a gauge swatch, you just start knitting your garment, and then after you've done several rows, you measure this bit up here, and when you reach a certain point, you start knitting in the round and you start your garment. So that's really simple, and I love the fact that she designs some of her clothes that way. I find it really easy to start a garment this way. Yeah, this is a pure llama yarn, as I said. What company was it? I did mention it. It's Kremke Soul Wool Llama Soft. Not quite sure how to pronounce that. But anyway, so I'm using the 2 colors that the contrast color is not in the pattern. I just added it because I wasn't sure whether I'd have enough yarn if I just used the blue. I finished the ball of yarn that I was knitting on for the front and back, and now I put those stitches on hold, and I put my needle into the first sleeve stitches, and this week I'm going to start knitting the sleeve. And I will not do the white stripes anymore, but I will keep the pearl stitches in, which are in the pattern, but just not in a contrast color usually, or originally. And then I think it should be quite nice. I think it will look nice to have the pearl bumps without the contrast color in the sleeve, and then maybe I'll put a white line just on top of the ribbing when I get to that bit of the sleeve. It's an idea. I'm not too sure yet. We'll see what happens. So that's that. And then the last project is, as usual, the crochet along that we're doing. Crocheting the hexagon cardigan, where you crochet 2 hexagons for each half of the cardigan, and then when you finish these, you crochet them together. You can work from the pattern Horizon by Hobby, or you follow my tutorial video, or you use both. That's maybe best. And I'm using 2 different colorways by Opal. So this red color with the blue was part of the Rainforest series 2 years ago, and the blue with the red was a Rainforest color last year. And yeah, and I think they really look nice together. And all I've done last week is add a few rows to the lower edge of the front and back. Probably not very visible, but I can feel that I have to stretch more to show the lower edge of the cardigan. So this is what I'm going to continue to do, just add more rows and then try it on every other row to see what it looks like and if I like the length, and then I will check how much yarn I have left and then It's not easy to estimate how much yarn I need to go round the whole thing once, but I really want to do that. But I also have this bit of yarn that's hanging on the sleeve just in case I want to make the sleeves a bit longer. But yeah, it should be fun. I'm pretty sure it'll be enough yarn, and if not, I do have another ball of yarn. So if I have to start another one, I could just do that and then maybe knit a pair of matching socks or something. Yeah, so that's it. That's everything I knit and crochet last week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!